20 years ago, when we were all working in brick and mortar, Forest Lake was where we came on the weekends to get away from our job. A great place to hang out with friends. Well, the lake has truly evolved. When I first started coming up here, this was a neighborhood of cottages. Now it's mostly a neighborhood of homes.
When my parents had bought the cottage back in '83, there were people coming around and bringing brochures and talking about trying to keep the lake so that it would be clean for generations upon generations. And I remember my dad, it came with a little letter and he read all about the lake. They used to have little dances and they used to sit on a porch and play banjos and guitars and sing songs.
We've had 5 generations here, and it's a great place to grow up. I grew up here, my kids are growing up, now my grandkids are growing up here. We refer to it as our mud puddle, and we love our mud puddle here. The lake is a valuable asset to all of us.
There was several storms. One was the big hurricane, which caused every tree in the area to be pretty much demolished and washed into the lake.
Forest Lake Association started back in 1928 when Mr. Davis and Mr. Drug approached Ellen Delphia and said they wanted to build and maintain a dam on the outlet stream. She had the perfect location, and they got together, they drew up an easement, and with that, Davis and Drug organized the people and they built a dam. In 1948, they filed articles of incorporation with the state of New Hampshire, and so the cottage owners then officially became the Forest Lake Improvement Association. So for 96 years, the association has managed the dam and maintained the lake. Over the past 25 years, we've had issues creep in on us, such as milfoil. The Forest Lake Association was one of the first lakes in New Hampshire to do milfoil treatment.
Dick Secord used to regulate the depth by lifting the gate up out of the dam. The dam's never had any problems before, for whatever it was, it lasted 100 years.
I love seeing boats go by and people waving from the campground. I gotta tell you, every morning, when you get up and you get a cup of coffee and you sit out on the deck and you look at the lake, you are very thankful for being able to have a place on the water.
Tonight at 11, roads washed away in New England. We're just starting to see the aftermath of the damage.
Yeah, that was a bad day for us. We are right on the water, and I just remember it was raining, and it was a lot of rain. And I remember a gentleman giving me a personal phone call saying, "This is going to be bad. Your basement's going to get really badly flooded." Within a half an hour, it was up to my hips. So it was about 3.5 feet of water in the house. And I just remember everybody from the lake, who lives on the lake, running over there to try to sandbag to save the dam so it wouldn't collapse.
That was quite a week for us. That week, the rain started and just kept coming. We started to sandbag early. The rain let off. We thought we had escaped the worst of it, and then the rain came. Forest Lake is filled by 3 separate water tables from the mountains around us. So as heavy rains hit those mountains, that water just runs straight into Forest Lake. Last July, this lake rose 53 inches. Members of the FLIA were down at the firehouse. There were emergencies occurring all over town. The emergency management team was there. People were monitoring not only the Forest Lake Dam, but other spots around town. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I finally turned to the fire chief and said, "We're not going to hold that dam back. You need to start evacuating." About 6 o'clock at night, the water coming through the box culvert was maximized. So the Route 10 bridge had slowly become a dam. Route 10 was in danger at that point. And as much as we worked and as many sandbags as we filled, we just weren't going to prevent that water from going over the top of the dam. It was kind of a funny story. I got home and I put a mark on my stairs where the water was. Around 10 o'clock, I texted the fire chief and said, "I don't know, we might be at a high level because the water's no longer coming up above my mark." At 10:30, he called me and said, "You want to come over to the dam? I'll show you why the water's not rising."
I remember there were people from the campground. They came over in bunches and just tried their best to save the lake because it's important to them too.
Well, this was the second round. The year before that, we had almost lost the dam that year, and then this was just ridiculous. I mean, our lake was overflowing, putting extra pressure on the dam, which already was on its last legs, so it kind of finished it off. The association, people from town, people from the campgrounds, everybody pretty much got together to sandbag the dam and try to save it.
So after the dam failed, our first thought was we got to get all the boats off. We didn't know if the water level of the lake would go down in a matter of hours or a matter of days or weeks. So there we were, midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. Neighbors came together, people put up lights at the campground boat launch. We were getting boats off, one right after the other. It was a rather amazing outreach of neighbors helping neighbors.
They came and knocked on our door at about 12:15 at night and said the dam broke, you might want to get your boat out. My son and I went down and it took us about 10 minutes to get our boat out. Spent the next 3 hours taking boats out from all around the lake. We were moving approximately 10 boats an hour out of here. It was actually fun. We had a good time. We were pumping boats out of the water real fast.
When the dam broke, I think we all then realized, wow, this is a big deal. You never thought something like that would happen. And then it became, okay, let's make our focus on getting enough money to rebuild the dam, and that way everybody gets to come back, everybody gets to enjoy it.
We were weeks away from starting our permits, and after what we saw, we knew we were going to have to make a few design changes. And at that point, we knew our checkbook was a little light. We put out the word, a GoFundMe page was started. The community was amazing. It was very clear that the community was behind us and supporting us. No group of people in Winchester has a greater drive to get this dam repaired so that we can all get back to relaxing and enjoying the lake.
We were saving money for the dam restoration a couple of years prior to that, but we had nowhere near what we needed. So we went on pretty much a big drive and donations and whatnot, and we're still short of the mark, but we're getting there, we're almost there, and hopefully we'll be able to rebuild the dam this fall.
We had probably 40 people from the campground that came over. I don't think the association expected that many people because they didn't have enough shovels or sandbags to keep everybody busy. It's a great community here in the campground. If you need 100 people to do something, it's very easy to get 100 people to jump in and do something. You know, we're all, whether we're the campground or we're a homeowner on the lake, we're all in this together.
The governor did come and he looked over everything. Unfortunately, it's such a low-risk dam, the state can't help out as much as they would as if it was a larger dam.
And this is my own personal opinion, the government never really seems to help with much. They kind of like leave it to you figure out what to do. I knew the government wasn't going to help. I knew they were just coming and it was going to be a smile and a handshake kind of deal. I'd like to see people who just care about stuff like this make a donation. You know, we could use a little help. And a lot of the businesses around here are family owned. They have made donations because they really care about the lake.
The first questions we always hear is, you know, what's FEMA going to do? What's the town going to do? What's the government going to do? It's interesting. For 3 years, we've been filling out applications with organizations like FEMA and others. The United States has 95,000 dams on the National Registry. There's just no money for privately owned recreational dams. They're important to this nation, they're important to our heritage, but the money's short. The money that the governments have is going to hydroelectric dams to keep them repaired and keep them operational.
Hopefully we'll be able to get things back the way they were. You know, we can't depend on the government to help us. We have to depend on ourselves. We're a small town and a small community, and when you lose something that means that much to you, that costs that much money, everybody has to come together.
I think a lot of people in here were kind of disappointed. You know, it fell upon the association to do that and the people around the lake. And like I said, the campground donated many thousands of dollars to that. Geez, we've been 3 years here now without the lake. We had high water 2 years ago. The year after that, we had the bacteria in the lake. It was disappointing for us that there's so much red tape and so many hoops you got to jump through. I mean, we're not talking the Hoover Dam here. We're talking a little dam on a little lake. I would have thought that the state had taken a lot more interest in this, and that should have been fixed last year.
It's kind of sad that it went from being full of life to being sparse. There was quite a few kayaks and paddle boats and docks swept down under the bridge and went out to the swamp. And I recovered as many of them as I could. This dam has stood there for just about 100 years, you know, and now all of a sudden it's gone. It was amazing that Mother Nature could just do all that in less than a day.
I mean, we need a whole lake again, and the restoration is the only way we're going to be able to do that. And since we're not getting any kind of help from government or anything like that, we have to do it on our own.
Every single dollar helps us to bring the lake back for everybody. Boy, it'd be nice just to see my daughter's generation enjoying the lake and so on and so on. Preserved for future generations to enjoy. We got to get moving on it. We need help. We need funds being raised. We need people to help us.
So it's been a year. I know that many people in town were hoping we could be a little further along with our plans than we are, but we're doing pretty good for 1 year. Our engineering is completed. Our permits were submitted. We have our wetlands permit is complete and signed and in our possession. We're waiting for DES Dam Bureau to sign theirs, which we expect to have within a matter of days. We hope to begin sometime in late September, early October. We're still, as of today, $35,000 short of the amount of money that we need. But fundraising is ongoing. People are stepping up to the plate. It's been great. And in a matter of 2 weeks, we have raised $80,000. This is a community affair. We're going to rebuild this dam. We have a GoFundMe page that's live and active. If you go to our website, forestlakeh.com, a little more paperwork and a few more dollars, and we're going to put this problem behind us.
What message or piece of wisdom would you like to pass on to the next generation of Forest Lake?
To treasure this for what it is, and to appreciate the value that this lake brings to the town and to the people that are around here.
Get the money we need and let's get it going. Let's bring people back here.